Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Jen Dorsey, and I lead Microsoft's customer programs for Dynamics 365. I am joined today by Jalinda Prekop and Pete Hoffman from Ledgeview Partners. Ledgeview is a leading Microsoft partner focused on helping SMBs use technology to drive business outcomes. Over the next hour, we will be showing you how Dynamics 365 and the Microsoft Cloud are helping businesses create connected customer experiences and deliver personalized service engagements, and also how to use data for informed decision-making. And last but not least, how to increase employee productivity with seamless integration with Outlook and Teams. We will take questions throughout the presentation, so please feel free to ask questions at any time using the Q&A chat box. Our new reality is driving the need for digital transformation at a faster pace than ever before. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella has even stated that we've seen 2 years' worth of digital transformation in just 2 months. Many businesses are challenged by this rapid rate of change, and Microsoft and our partners like Ledgeview are here to help customers adapt to this new reality and realize new business opportunities. To address these new business challenges, Microsoft is delivering the Connected Cloud for Business, bringing together Dynamics 365, Microsoft 365, and the Microsoft Power Platform. Today's webinar is focused on our customer engagement applications, and we will also be highlighting how Dynamics 365 is helping businesses improving their marketing, sales, and service experiences. In addition to our marketing, sales, and service apps, I also want you to be aware that Dynamics 365 includes a full suite of business applications spanning finance, operations, commerce, and human resources. This enables digital transformation where and when you need it. So now let me welcome Jalinda Prekop and the team from Ledgeview Partners. Ledgeview is a gold certified and award-winning Dynamics 365 Inner Circle partner with a proven track record of helping customers manage and grow their business with Microsoft solutions. Welcome, Jalinda.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate that introduction. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar. For 13 years, Ledgeview Partners has been working with companies across North America to implement and leverage the D365 CRM platform to meet their business objectives. D365 is a technology platform that is best leveraged with a solid business strategy in place. That's why we work with our customers to find strategies and processes first. We know that D365 can meet the technical requirements, so this focus on business first is a crucial step. The product has evolved significantly over the years and will continue to do so with Microsoft's vision. As a key Microsoft partner, we are committed to ensuring our customers have the full advantages of this vision. So we have a lot to cover today. Let's get started. D365 offers an end-to-end customer experience, starting with a platform that aligns marketing, sales, and customer service. The goal is to improve your customer's experience and improve customer retention while increasing your customer base. That starts with D365 marketing for broadening your marketing channels beyond the standard email marketing to incorporate social and digital channels as well. You need to build brand awareness where your customers and prospects are getting their information. With the time we have today, our intention is to give you some insight into D365 marketing, but as you can see from this slide, the capabilities are extensive. You'll notice some columns have boxes around them. Within these columns are some of the components we'll be showcasing today. D365 Sales is the core application and has many of the standard CRM capabilities. The goal is to build insight and efficiency within the sales team so they are able to spend more time selling. With more insights into their customers, they are better prepared for meetings and can better serve their customers and prospects. D365 Sales goes far beyond the standard CRM capabilities of the past. For many management teams, they want insights into behaviors and patterns that can help forecast future business and make better decisions. As you can see above, the Sales Insights area of D365 is quite extensive in its features and provides a lot of different types of data and insight. Today's customers are used to the concept of self-service and being able to quickly get insight and answers. D365 Service provides your customers with that online experience, and at its core provides your customer service teams with a robust service platform. D365 at its core was originally just a case or ticket management system, but you can see how the product has evolved to create a multi-channel experience for your customer service teams and your customers. And for customers that have field service needs, the application extends into a full field service application as well. As I mentioned, we have limited time today to give you insight into all three of these robust applications, and we'll only be able to touch on some of these features. Okay, let's get started. Joining me today is Pete Hoffman. We will each be covering portions of the demonstration today. We thought the best way to start today's overview of D365 is to follow the lead through opportunity process. In many organizations, marketing activities are crucial to generating and nurturing leads. So we're going to begin with D365 marketing. This is the first look you have at D365. And as you'll notice, all the navigation is done from the left side. We're going to start by looking at the customer journey capabilities. Presented here is a list of all of the active customer journeys. For our example, we're using the Contoso Chairs Splash campaign. The journey is laid out from left to right and can be as simple or complex as you need. Let's look at this broader view. Segment is defined first, which is basically defining which leads or contacts will be included in the journey. In this example, we're sending an email to our premium customers. Then we have a trigger set to determine whether or not the email was opened. If the email is open, you define one path and another path if it is not opened. The actions that happen along the path can be numerous. In this example, we're following up with an email inviting them to just subscribe to our newsletter. If they accept, then we ensure they will receive the newsletter, and another follow-up activity is also created for the salesperson. If the invitation is not open, it follows another path. The toolbox area on the right is easy to use and enables us to craft these journeys. The toolbox contains 4 primary areas: content, actions, targets, and the flow control. You drag and drop these items into the journey as you are building it out. The targets area is where you start with defining your segments, a list of leads or contacts you're marketing to. Or you can target based on a record being updated. For example, if a lead status changes, you might kick off a journey. Once you've defined the target, you can build out the content. There are many options available with content, such as sending an email, scheduling an event, maybe directing them to a form on your website, or sending a survey. The actions allow you to create specific items such as tasks, leads, or even a LinkedIn campaign using the LinkedIn integration. And then lastly, you use the flow control to define how the journey will be controlled and scheduled. I'm returning back to our initial view of the journey to highlight the insights area. My apologies for the lack of good data in the demo org we're using. This is a difficult area for us to properly show true data analysis, but the insights area will show the results of overall journey interactions. Metrics are an important part of marketing's job, and measuring the effectiveness of a campaign is critical to determining if the time and money are being well spent. Now let's show how forms can be set up and used to collect contact information from your website. Going back to our navigation area, we can see a list of active marketing forms. I'm guessing most of your organizations already have a contact us of some sort on your website. So we're going to be using that as our example today. Here's a contact us form for Ledgeview Partners within the form editor. The form editor is very similar to the email editor within D365. There are several different types of forms. Here is a list of options. If you offer subscriptions that people can opt in or out of, you might use a subscription center form for those list of options. There is an event component within D365 marketing that would enable you to have event registrations. But the most common form type is a landing page, and that's what we're using today. Scrolling down on the form, we can see the various data points the person will need to complete. The designer is on the right side and is used to configure your form using drag and drop. Any fields on the form, such as the first and last name, are then captured and collected in CRM once the form is completed, resulting in a lead record being created. Clicking on the Insights tab will show the effectiveness of the form. Again, we don't have real live data points, but you get the idea of the types of metrics that can be captured, enabling marketing to evaluate the effectiveness of a form. Moving on to email marketing, which is a big component of the marketing activities. We want to start by taking a look at the email editor. In addition to the designer, you can also experiment using A/B tests to help test and improve engagement. You can optimize content with multivariate testing for individuals based on previous activity and preferences. I do actually have some data on the Insights tab for this email. This is an example of what marketing can see to measure effectiveness of a specific email send. In addition to email, D365 Marketing also has other digital channels for marketing. Here is an example of the social posts area. Within the designer, you build the posts and then publish them. As all other marketing components, this also has an insights area. Marketing is able to review all the different channels to determine what is working most effectively. Using dashboards is a common way for marketing to get the insights that they're looking for. There are endless ways marketing may want to analyze the data that is collected in D365 marketing. This specific chart is showing the effectiveness of various customer journeys. And in this example, we're able to review the lead generation effectiveness. This information is determined based on a lead's activities, which are used to rank and score a lead. Scoring models are defined to score specific behavior. So returning to our navigation, we're going to take a look at an existing scoring model. Here's an example of how you might set up a model. The text area is a little easier to see what's actually happening. So I'm going to switch to that view. Based on the rules, you specify if points will be added or subtracted. For example, if they visited a website, you can add points. If they registered for an event or opened an email, you can add points as well. But you can notice that by submitting a form, you have a much higher point value than some of the other activities. You can also subtract points. Just to have a little fun, I'm a big Packer fan, so I might subtract points if someone is a Vikings fan. Just kidding, but you do get the idea to show the flexibility that you have. Returning back to our design view, let's discuss lead grades. This allows you to define when a lead might move from a marketing qualified lead to a sales qualified lead. In our example, that would happen when the lead score hits 40. Then you can also grade the lead based on the total lead score. So once the lead hits a certain range, it becomes a hot lead. Okay, now let's discuss how we can use this information to better organize our leads. Returning back to our navigation, we have this option called lead scores. This presents a list view of all leads showing their lead score and grade. This will enable the salesperson to keep their hottest leads top of mind. By selecting a lead, we can see more details. Here is a lead record that shows the lead score area, and there's also a lead score tab. You can have multiple lead score models running at the same time that apply to a lead, which would all be displayed here. The Insights tab on an actual lead shows us how all of this information pulls together from D365 marketing. As you can see, all the marketing activities are visible for this lead. We can review all the various interactions that help result in the lead score for this particular lead. This is great information for a sales rep before they reach out directly, as they can tailor the discussion around the lead's specific interests. Now that we're in the lead record, we're going to transition into the D365 sales functionality. To do this, we're going to switch to another demo org and showcase the D365 Sales Hub. And this is where I'm going to be engaging my partner, Pete. So Pete, at this time, I'm going to ask for you to start sharing your screen. Thanks, Pete. So in this demo environment, we're able to highlight some of the integrations with other Microsoft products. I'd like to start by highlighting the integrations with LinkedIn Sales Navigator for researching leads, learning more about their connections using the icebreaker area of Sales Navigator, and company information. So there's a lot of information here that a person has at their fingertips. It's literally embedding the Sales Navigator application directly within D365. It also has the LinkedIn in-mail capabilities. So right from here, I could craft a LinkedIn email and have that message go to that person using LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and also record that activity inside of the activity history for that particular lead. So let's return back to the summary area of this lead and talk about where those activities are found. Our timeline area is where anything related to tasks, phone calls, emails, things that have already happened or things that are scheduled to happen will be inside this timeline area. And it does have a real-time integration with Outlook. So we have the option to send emails directly from D365 or Outlook, but by sending directly from D365, we're able to track email engagement. So Pete's going to open up this email that has been previously sent. And one of the really valuable parts of this to a salesperson is that I can look at the recipient activity. I had included some links in this email. I can see the links that were opened, when they were opened. So this gives me that insight. When I follow up with a lead, it's going to help me maybe tailor my conversation to them more. But of course, we know that people spend a lot of time in Outlook and want to also track incoming emails. So I'm going to ask Pete to switch over to the Outlook app and do a short review for us there. Pete, over to you.
Thanks, Jalinda. So as we can see here, what we're looking at is the web version of Microsoft Outlook. And many people, many salespeople, customer service reps, they do enjoy continuing to manage their emails from the Outlook side. So one of the nice benefits of the integration between Dynamics and Outlook is this D365 app for Outlook. So what this means is that you can take your inbox, you can take your calendar, you can take your tasks, and you're able to track those into Dynamics to bring in the email, bring in the recipients, the sender, any attachments that might be a part of that email, and then attach it to leads, contacts, opportunities, maybe cases, to bring it in and put it in within that timeline. So what we're looking at here is when I click on the email down here, we have one example. Oh, on the right hand side here opens up the app. You can tell that I've tracked this email. It's connected to the lead that we were looking at earlier for Jalinda. And then it also points out that we do have the recipient for this email address. So again, what this allows you to do is bring these in without having to retype anything in or recreate any activities on the dynamic side. And you'll see that once I jump back to the lead itself, you can see that that email now that we just tracked is existing within the timeline of that lead. So I guess
Very
I'll
good.
send it back to
Excellent.
you, Linda. Thank you.
Yep. So we have one final step in this lead to opportunity process, and that is once we're at that point where a lead is ready to become an opportunity, it will move through a qualification process. I'm going to have Pete step you through that.
So when you qualify a lead, what happens behind the scenes is the lead is collecting a contact's information, a company's information, and by qualifying that lead, you do have a stop point here to say, does that account and contact already exist? And if not, behind the scenes, the qualification process will create those records for you. It'll create the account, the contact, and then also create that opportunity record, and then tie them all together to continue on to the next stage of your sales process. So from here, I can go ahead and hit the continue button. You'll notice that it's processing, creating the account record, the contact record, and then ultimately getting me to the next screen, which is going to be the opportunity record that I'm going to now move to the next stage of my process. I have a new contact, I have a new account, and now I can continue. But to point out that my timeline came with, all of my details about the lead came with, and again, it's a nice, efficient way to move things through your process.
Very good. So now that we've shown the full lead to opportunity process, we're going to return back and do a little more formal approach or overview of the opportunity. And by doing that, we're going to return to the navigation and take a look at a list of opportunities and cover some of the details in the opportunity functionality. Pete's going to start with a list view of opportunities and walk you through the opportunity form.
Thank you. So as a sales rep, I come in and I'm able to see my open opportunities. So that gives me a list of my current pipeline. So what am I responsible for pursuing and staying on top of as part of the sales team? You know, we have other options for different views that can be available. You could look at all closed opportunities. You could look at open opportunities across the entire team. But in this example, we're just going to be looking at the my open opportunities. Another thing I can do without having to navigate anywhere else is I can right from here show charts. So by using this data that's being listed here within the view that I'm looking at, I can then pull up charts that can display the data I'm seeing in a visual format. So you'll notice we have a lot of different options that can be pulled in. You can customize this list, or I should say configure this list to be different charts that may be something that you want to make available to your team, and also have the ability to create your own personal charts. So I'm going to go ahead and hide that. One other feature that we wanted to point out was, you know, this inline editing. So the ability to not have to open up any records. So for example, if I wanted to quickly change the probability and the rating of this opportunity from the list, I can simply just click within the row, change my values along with the rating. Maybe this becomes a more hot opportunity. And there you go. You don't have to do any opening of records or navigate anywhere else. It's all able to be done right from there. All right, so let's jump into an actual opportunity record. So for this example, we're going to use the product 14 and services opportunity example. All right, so we did kind of briefly see this a bit earlier, but what I want to point out right away is that sales process or the business process flow that you see going across the top of the opportunity. So what this again allows you to do is standardize your sales process, allow your users to follow a predetermined, approved process to hopefully add more of a higher success rate for winning opportunities. So in this example, we have the qualify stage, which we touched on at the lead stage. But then once the lead gets qualified, we move on to the develop. And for this opportunity, we're actually moved on into the propose stage. So within each of these stages, you'll notice that if I click within here, I can have individual steps that need to be completed to ultimately tell that salesperson, okay, I've completed all of my steps. Now I know that I can move on to that next stage of the process. So again, this is all configurable. The stage names are configurable. The number of stages is configurable, and also the steps within each stage, all of which are configurable. So moving on a little bit further. So obviously opportunities for your business may capture different data points. The examples we have, don't be hung up on what you're seeing here. This is all areas of which we would work with you on and coming up with what your fields are. Maybe you have different categories you want to capture on your opportunities. But in these examples here, you can notice we can give it a topic. We talked about the contact, the account, some of these other details around the purchase time frame. Maybe this came from a certain campaign. You'll notice we have its own separate timeline. So again, that activity history came from the lead itself, but you have that ability to create additional activities as you're pursuing this opportunity for ultimately winning the business. A couple other things over on the side here. We talked about this main contact, this MEG contact here, but you may have other contacts in the system that are a part of that decision-making process, which is where your stakeholder subgrid will come into play. So you'll notice that each of these contacts can be pulled in, they can be assigned a role, and it really allows you to have that organized view of how to pursue this business. In addition to that, we can put in sales team members. So you may be approaching winning business through a team effort. You can bring in users, other users of the system, assigning them a role, and really being able to start organizing your approach for winning business, along with understanding who your competitors may be, because your approach to pursuing or proposing on a potential opportunity may change depending on who you're competing against. So while you're gathering the information for the opportunity, it's important that you can also put in the products that you might be, looking to sell, or services you might be looking to sell to the customer. So this is where you can jump into the product line items area, in which you can pull in a specific price list. So you can have numerous price list options available based on all sorts of different criteria. But once a price list has been selected, you can pull in your products, which then ultimately will sum and really give you that estimated revenue, which would fall into the forecasting reporting that can be done. So once you got to the point now where you're ready to quote on an opportunity, or give a quote to a customer, this is where you can then be coming into the quoting area, where you can create new quotes. You'll notice we have 2 quotes listed here, one of which is closed, one of which is active. This shows the ability to track that revision history. So we started with this initial quote, but the quote itself needed some adjustments from the customer. So what we ended up doing was revising that and starting with a new quote with the changes that were added. You'll notice the total amounts have changed. So again, allowing the ability to track those revision histories can be important, understanding the number of times it took you to get to the ultimate accepted quote. So lastly, once you're to the point where you've gotten through your sales process, you've moved to the next stage, you're now within the close stage of the opportunity, you get to the point now where you either are going to hopefully win, or lose that business. So you come up to the top, and just like we qualified that lead, you do have the ability now to click the buttons to win or lose the business. The point I want to point out here is that when you click close as lost, the one thing that can be very powerful for you as a continually improving your processes is understanding reasons why you may lose business, reasons why you may lose business to a certain competitor. So being able to start tracking and customizing this list of selections to really understand, okay, where do we need to improve? What competitors are we losing to most frequently, and really having the ability to capture that. Okay, I think that was the end of the opportunity discussion. Delinda, I'll send it back to you.
All right, very good. Thanks, Pete. So next, we're going to review the value to both sales and customer service of having a 360-degree view of your customer. So we're going to return back to the navigation area and see that in the accounts area, we can get a list of accounts. And this is one great way of being able to get customer information or look up customer information, but it's very efficient for sales and customer service. They want to find information quickly. And that's where the global search feature really puts a lot of power at the team's fingertips. So I'm going to have Pete start this review of the account by starting with global search, and then giving you a view of account information.
Okay, very good. So I think at first here, we'll search for our Datum account. One thing to point out is that when you search, sometimes less is more. So notice I only typed in the beginning of the name of the account. So a global search, what that means is it's looking across tables, right? It's looking not only within the accounts table, but it's also looking at any related contacts or opportunities. Or if I go to the next page, you'll see that we can see if there are any leads that match that search criteria, or quotes or orders. So it really is giving you that global search feature, where you don't have to be jumping around to the different table areas within navigation to find records. You can simply just go to global search to get to that information. All right, so let's jump into the Datum account and start looking at the that, that 360 view of what is going on with the customer. Okay. So if we look at what is on an account, we've talked about leads, we've talked about opportunities, but now we can look at more of that parent account record. Where can we go to see everything that's going on with a either potential customer or customer? So if we look at some of the information, this is where you're going to be able to capture the name of the account, some of that basic information around contact information, address. The timeline is also something that can be quite powerful, because what this allows you to do is any contacts that are related to the account or opportunities, they all have their own timeline. But the account, because it's that parent record, is going to be able to roll up all of that timeline activity history into one place, so that you're able to come into this account and really see everything going on with these contacts and opportunities all in one place in chronological order. So that's a pretty powerful feature. As we're looking through here a little further, so part of the timeline piece is this assistant area. So what this is going to be able to do is when you open up this account and you've got all these activities in here, you'll notice that we can have this pop open notifications letting us know if we have tasks that are overdue or an opportunity that's closing soon based on that estimated close date. So again, giving you the ability to really see all things going on with this customer. A couple of the things I want to point out would be, I touched on the contacts. So again, we can see all the different people that potentially work at this business. We can see all the opportunities that are out there, whether they're open or closed, won or lost, along with cases. So again, we'll touch on this in a little bit here, but the case management piece of Dynamics and that customer relationship in its entirety, allowing you to really track issues, questions, inquiries coming in, and being able to see again from this account all those different areas in the system. One other piece I want to point out, when it comes to contacts, a lot of times salespeople are trying to get contacts created. They're meeting people on the road. They're maybe attending different events and things like that, and they need to try to get their contacts into the system. So from this subgrid, you can either do this from the web, where you can come in and click new contact from here, but a lot more times you're on the road and you may be in your car. So on the mobile device, you have the ability to create your contact from there. And what's nice about doing it from the road or on your mobile device is that business card scanner. So with out of the box Dynamics, you'd have the ability to scan business cards right from your car, right from your mobile device, and have that auto populate into the correct fields of a new contact that you're creating. Okay, a couple other things. So one of the fields on here you'll notice is this parent account. So, as you can imagine, in organizations, there might be parent organizations with child organizations or multiple locations. So I wanted to point out that by setting these different fields and creating these relationships in the system, you can then allow Dynamics to view those relationships in a more visual hierarchy setting. So by clicking on view hierarchy, I'm able to see that build out or that hierarchy in a visual form, understanding a couple key pieces of information for each one of these different accounts, but also seeing that parent-child relationship. So let me jump back to my account. And then the last piece, so that's the business hierarchy, but then you also have maybe contact hierarchies within this organization. So that's the point at which you can open up your org chart to then understand, within the contacts at this location, what does that org chart look like? Who's the manager, who are the employees, and really starting to build out and understand decision makers and who maybe you want to focus your contact with to get the most success out of your conversations. All right, so that's kind of the fields that we want to cover. Now let's look at some of these tabs more at the top, along the top of this account. So Jalinda touched on some of that sales analytics and the relation analytics that you can have, relationship analytics. So if I go here, you're going to notice that what this is going to allow us to do is really start at the account level, start understanding, some of the interaction reporting that can be done, some email engagement, hourly investments, things like that you'll really be able to see at the account level, all things going on and how well or how engaged this customer is with your sales team. You can also jump in and see any quotes. So again, we have all these opportunities that might be associated to this account, all of which may have multiple quotes that are going out. From the account, you can jump in and see all of those quotes that would roll up to this area. So you can not have to find each quote within each opportunity. You're able to, right from the account, find the entirety of that list, along with invoices as well. So this is a good example of a situation where if you have a separate ERP or a separate accounting system and you do all of your invoicing out of that system, but you want to be able to, from Dynamics, be able to have access to some of that information, this would be a typical or a common integration point where you would pull in that invoice history from another system like Business Central or others, and then have that information displayed here for your salespeople to understand invoicing or order history and so on. And then lastly, on the account, I just wanted to point out that documents and OneNote are also very common integration points. So there are all sorts of situations where when you're managing your accounts or your opportunities that you may have files that you need to be associating to various records. So within Dynamics, you can set up that SharePoint integration. So when you actually get the integration up and running, what it does is it allows you to access this documents area. And what this does is it gives you a folder structure on the SharePoint side where the account is that parent folder, and then you have anything below it like opportunities or contacts or any of those other folders will be built out in that tree format. So I have the ability from the account to click within any opportunities that I have out there and continue to click in to get to that opportunities files that are related specifically to that opportunity. So it's a pretty nice way and a nice organized way to keep your documents nicely organized and also offloading from the Dynamics database. I kind of glanced over it, but the OneNote piece is also important. Let me jump back to the. So this is a nice key piece here to also point out is that the OneNote integration, I know Ledgeview uses this all the time as far as keeping track of our notes during calls, things like that. But you can have a complete notebook related to each record within Dynamics as well. Okay, Jalinda, back to you.
All right, thanks, Pete. I love all that integration with the Microsoft platform. Really great stuff. Okay, so to wrap up the sales area, we want to now talk a little bit about the dashboarding capabilities, and we're going to just highlight a couple of examples that kind of come with our demo org here to show you what the power is of the platform. Pete?
Okay, yeah. So here we have the sales activity dashboard. So again, trying to pull in, visualize the data so that you can quickly land on a page and understand what is our pipeline looking like, based on the stage, how much estimated revenue do we have out there included within all of our open opportunities. Maybe I want to see, how are we doing as far as our win-loss ratio? So how many do we have open versus lost? You can see any open leads out there, open opportunities. So again, this dashboard is a great way to bring multiple areas together into that single landing page and also visualize your data for maybe management or other reasons or the other groups that may want to see things very quickly and understand very quickly how things are going. And that second dashboard, so that, this is an example of a dashboard created within Dynamics, but a lot of companies more and more are starting to utilize the Power BI. So that Power BI tool that's within Microsoft's toolkit here. So dashboards and charts and reports, they can all be put together and built within Power BI and then embedded within Dynamics. So what we're going to show you here is an example of what a Power BI dashboard could look like that you, again, build outside of Dynamics within Power BI, but then bring that data in. So, one nice thing about Power BI is you could have multiple data sources, right? So you could have your invoice history, you could have really all the different data points and data sources that you may want to bring into Power BI, but then embed that information within Dynamics to give that type of information at the fingertips of your sales team. Very good.
Very good. Thanks. I know this is an area we're seeing our clients leverage a lot more. It's so powerful to have these dashboards embedded directly within D365. All right, so that was our wrap of D365 Sales Hub. So now we're going to transition into the last area, which is customer service. And to do that, we're going to switch into the customer service hub. So the navigation on our left-hand side is going to look a little different here because this is really targeted at the components of the service capabilities. And it doesn't show necessarily everything on here. This product is very deep in its capabilities. There are components like field service and knowledge base and the Internet of Things, being able to have IoT devices and assets and being able to track all of that data. But we're going to keep things relatively simple today and focus really on the core capabilities, which starts with case management. But before we go into there, we thought we would start in the dashboards area. I know in working with my customers that the customer service metrics are really important to help them measure the effectiveness of their service teams and ensure that they are monitoring customer satisfaction. So Pete's going to go through a review of a few different dashboards for us.
All right, thank you. So yeah, we'll start with that team leader dashboard. So somebody who is somewhat in charge of delegating, assigning cases, and also understanding, the distribution of work, making sure that their agents are not being overbooked, and also understanding how well are we resolving cases on a timely manner and things like that. So the charts we see here are going to give you some of those visuals to help a team leader really understand how successful their team is being, along with giving them the ability to manage any unassigned cases or things like that. So you'll notice that active cases, this tells you that Alan Steiner is pretty busy compared to the rest of his teammates. So this would be a pretty big red flag for the team leader to maybe start divvying out some of these to some of the other reps on the team. You can also see that we have unassigned cases. So a way for a team leader to really start understanding what this case is about and matching that with the expertise of different various people on their team. A couple other examples down below. How many active cases do we have by priority, resolved cases by the satisfaction level of the customer, and then I'll get into the entitlements in a little bit here, but it allows you to see over the course or I guess over the span of your customer base, how many entitlements do we have left. So again, giving you some ideas and some examples of different case visualized charts that you can be incorporating into your daily lives. The next one I want to point out is the knowledge base. So knowledge base articles can be put into Dynamics to allow you to somewhat standardize the responses that you give to your customers, so that your sales reps don't have to recreate the wheel each time they need to answer common questions. So what this dashboard is showing is the overall high level look at the knowledge base articles we have to date, and then also understanding where are some of these knowledge base articles in the process to being published. So Dynamics can track and manage that process for drafting knowledge base articles through the review process, ultimately to the published process, which then becomes what becomes available to your service team to use once they become a published article. So again, I can see my active articles in the list here. I could see them by status, reason, maybe by subject. We'll talk about what that means in a minute, and then also some of these summed tiles that gives you some, that look into where we are with our knowledge base article situation. All right, and the last one would be this tier 2 dashboard. So this is going to be more geared towards your service rep. They can come in, they can land here, they can see what cases they've been assigned. They could see, different charts based on priority or the type of incidents, which would be cases, maybe where cases are originating from. And then also quickly being able to see, if I click on this too, I can see, okay, I've got a couple cases. Do I want to pick one of these to then open up and start working to hopefully resolve for the customers? All right, I think back to you then, Jalinda.
Yeah, so that's a great segue into talking about how these dashboards can be interactive. And, as a rep, I can go directly into one of these service cases, which we're going to do next, and then cover a little bit more about what this core capability is all about.
All right, very good. So as a rep, I'll jump into this takeoff needs help with setup case. All right, so you're going to see some familiar features on this case that we did on the opportunity. You'll notice we have a business process flow going across the top like we did on opportunity, but our stages are different. Obviously, the process to follow for resolving a case would differ from the sales process you follow to win business. So just I guess the takeaway then is that you can have a separate process flow, business process flow that you can follow, or your sales reps can follow to ultimately resolve those cases. So again, they can all have their own steps between each stage to help guide your reps through the resolution process. A couple other things to point out. So again, different categories, different ways to categorize your cases for either reporting or for helping your sale or your service reps prioritize, things that need to be done sooner than later. So this is an example of being able to distinguish a normal priority versus high. What is the current status of the case that I'm working here, and who the owner is of that case as well. And then we get into some of the fields. So, we look at the actual case itself. And cases can come from emails, they can come from a portal, which we'll talk about in a minute. They can also just come from phone calls or a manual entry from a sales rep. So once you get in here and you see what's going on with the case, you can see who the customer is, maybe some contact information. This also can pull in any recent cases that this customer has had that may tell you if they have a reoccurring issue, or you can understand maybe it's related to one of these cases that was resolved, but it came back, or something along those lines. And then you can also see entitlements. So I mentioned this earlier in the demo, and now I'll kind of talk a little bit more about what this means. So entitlements is a way for customers to purchase a certain number of terms or a certain level of service through your company. So terms can either be number of hours, or terms could be the number of cases. So maybe over the course of a year, they buy 50 hours worth of customer service, or they buy 50 cases of customer service. So this allows you to set up and manage remaining terms for this customer. So you're able to, because we've associated this case with a datum, it pulls in how many remaining terms does this customer have, ensuring that they do have service left for us to continue assisting. Another piece I want to point out. So in relation to entitlements, we also have service level agreements. So you'll notice we have two KPIs, first response in and resolve in. So you can have multiple SLAs that can be associated to a case that may have different response rates or resolution rates. So what this allows you to do is, let's say a low priority case allows for 8 hours before that first response by a rep is required. So this timer will start counting down. So whatever you set this up to be as far as the timer goes, that timer will start running, and maybe it's an email needs to be sent that would trigger this to be a successful first response in. And then also have a second one that maybe in 24 hours you've been promising your customers that a resolution will occur. So you can determine or understand how well are we meeting the SLA agreement that we're promising our customers. And it really does automate that process for you, so that you can really start getting those KPIs and reporting out of the system. All right, so the one last piece on here I wanted to point out is this subject. So I think I mentioned this a little earlier when we were looking at a dashboard. But another area that you can categorize your cases would be by subject. So maybe it's related to service, or it's related to a query, or there's all sorts of different subjects that can be put into the system. But what's nice about this is not only are you categorizing the case for segmentation or for query building or reporting, but what this does is, if you have built out your knowledge base articles, the second you categorize this case as a certain subject, your knowledge base articles over here then can provide you with related knowledge base articles that you can be reviewing. So without having to really even begin working this case, I can immediately see what's going on, see the issue, and be immediately connected to certain knowledge base articles that can help me with the resolution of this issue with the customer. So from here, I can pin these articles. So I could pin up, as many of these articles as I want that may be helpful to me as I'm working this case. I can simply just open the article to review the contents that may help me if I'm on the phone with a customer. But I can also actually share this and email them this article if it's as simple as that they just need to know a common answer that you can then email them through the knowledge base article piece. So it's a pretty powerful way to really provide your customer base with really high level customer service, along with really well designed reporting that can help you continually improve your services. And I'll pass it back to you, Jalinda.
Yeah, that's a great overview of some of the capabilities available for those customer service people. So what we want to do now is make a little turn here, and we know that a lot of our customers today want to offer self-service options to their customers. And I know Pete referenced the fact that sometimes these requests might come in via the web. So we want to provide a method for doing that. And using the D365 portals capability, we're able to provide a platform, a web-based platform for your customers to get information. And that might be not only submitting cases, but referencing knowledge base articles. There's just a lot of different things that can be done here. So we're going to just do a very, very quick overview to give you an example of a portal.
Sounds good. So yes, like Jalinda said, cases can come from multiple places. This would be an example of a way to allow your customers to create cases or get questions or answers to their questions, all without really engaging your support team for everything. So what we're showing you here is the ability to set up a portal. So the portal can provide your customers with the ability to create profiles. They can have their own logins, and they can have their own really, support experience. So once logged in, some of the features we'll point out here today is that your knowledge base articles that we mentioned earlier, that I talked about a little earlier, can be exposed into this portal. So, let's have the example of you have a customer who's looking to book some travel. So they can put in that search criteria, hit enter, and then it'll pull up any sort of knowledge base articles that you have already put together and published, and they're available for customers. Those can then be accessible through the portal like we're seeing here. You can also, as a logged in user, see most popular knowledge base articles. Maybe that's of interest. Most recently published articles, the top rated. But more importantly, you can come down and actually create cases. So keep in mind that what we're looking at here is a very generic looking portal. So as a part of a project with Ledgeview, we'd be working with you guys to brand this, really make it your own. But the important piece to take away is the capabilities that you can put into here to really empower your customer base to manage some of their own issues, but also have them a sure way to get cases created and then ultimately get the service they need from your team. So I'm just going to quick show that you can come in, you can create your case. What this does then is there is a connection between this portal and Dynamics. So as the logged in customer user of this portal, I can give it a title. I can actually look up or have this automatically default in my account so that you don't even have to do any searching. I can indicate which type of case it is. So is it a question, a problem? And then again, we talked about this earlier, but the subject, so that as the case gets submitted, that customer service rep immediately has access to related knowledge base articles and along with the description. So again, as that customer comes in, they can attach their files. They can then ultimately submit this case, which comes into CRM as a new case. And then what can happen is you can put processes in place that on creation of the case through this submitting process here, notifications can go out, or it can sit in a queue. We looked at that team leader dashboard. We had unassigned cases listed. This could come into that list where then the team leader has the ability to look at the issue and then match it with the best expertise they have on their customer service team. So a lot of possibilities, a lot of potential for streamlining and automating this process to really give your customers a really good experience with your customer service team.
All right. Thank you, Pete, for the quick introduction to the portal's capability. This is just one example of how to leverage the portal functionality to expose D365 data to external users. We see many of our manufacturing customers using portals for lead, opportunity, and quote management with their partners and OEMs as just another use case example. So I challenge you to think out of the box a little bit here as far as what can be done. So in closing, I want to highlight a few areas that are a little more difficult for us to do in a demo related to AI and BI related capabilities. So give me a moment here to share my screen. As I mentioned earlier in my overview of D365 sales, the Sales Insights capabilities provides a variety of tools for measuring results. evaluating trends and predicting future results. These are the areas most difficult to demo because it requires historical data analysis. But you can see from the slide here, there are a variety of tools available. And we did touch on a couple of these, the relationship insights, that personal assistant, were a couple things we were able to show today. Here's an example of some of the components of Sales Insights predictive forecasting. And I apologize that the image isn't all that clear, but what I want to point out here is that the opportunity history that's accumulated in the system will be able to better predict future results as your system gets smarter. This insight will provide management with better planning data based on trends and future expectations. The Microsoft Customer Insights with Power BI really showcases the depth of customer information that can be accessible to sales and service. By seeing trends in the customer relationships, you're able to develop strategies for increasing retention and improving your share of wallet. We hope this high-level overview of D365 sales, marketing, and customer service has demonstrated the power of a fully connected marketing, sales, and customer service strategy to retain and build your customer base. Thank you for joining us today. I'm sure many of you will have questions and want to learn more. We're here to help. Just give us a call, send an email, or better yet, complete a form on our website, which will automatically get you into our CRM system using the tools we showcased today. I would also recommend visiting our website, where we have the tremendous library of information on the full D365 platform. Here's just an example of some of the great resources available. Thank you for your time and attention today. Thanks to my partner, Pete. And Jennifer, I'll turn it back to you for the wrap up.
Thank you, Jalinda and Pete, for your insightful overview and demonstration of Dynamics 365 and our customer engagement apps. And thank you all for attending today's webinar. I encourage you to reach out to the team from Ledgeview to further evaluate our Dynamics 365 solutions and begin your digital transformation. In addition to connecting with Ledgeview, we also have a Microsoft sales team ready to help answer additional questions you may have about any of our Microsoft applications for business. Please contact us for any additional questions or information that you may need. Thank you again for attending our webinar, and enjoy the rest of your day.